the where they are originated and then collected from there, and how we are going to conserve the germ plasma. See, there are two terms in this. One is germ plasma, and second is conservation. So anybody from NBPGR can define what is a germ plasma? Yes.
Sir,
Yes, please go ahead.
so germplasm may be the seeds or plant parts, so that is collected and used for breeding purposes and for conservation, for study and research purpose.
Okay, okay, that's good. So in the introduction, we'll look into a germ plasma is a collection of genetic resources of an organism. For example, if you take the plant species, if you take the example of rice, so it's a collection of genetic resources, of an rice, Oryza sativa, and we are collecting this one from the entire world. The whatever variability is there in the rice, we are going to collect this one, and we used to conserve the seed and we store the seed and we use it for the next generation or the frequent subsequent generation. For example, in every country has got the gene banks or the cryo banks. In those gene banks, these collections, for example, seed collections of that Oryza sativa or Oryza rupipogan or Oryza nuara, whatever species are there, they will be collected and they will be categorized and they will be stored in the gene bank. And the gene bank, what the gene bank does is they uses these gene bank, for example, these germ plasma for they will multiply it and they will store it and they will give whenever demand arises. If somebody wants so and so germ plasma which is resistant to root knot nematode, or the germ plasma resistant to biotic stress of Helicoverpa armigera, or the some other disease or the insect pest. So whenever there is an request from the breeder or the request from a country or the institute, these gene bank will supply that germ plasma. And germ plasma living tissues, germ plasma is a living tissue from which a new plants can grow. For example, seed is a germ plasma, or plant part, for example, even stem, pollen, or even just few cells that can be turned into a whole plant by the tissue culture, that is also called as a germ plasma. Now, it contains the information of a species genetic makeup, valuable natural resources for the plant diversity. Okay, that is an important this one. प्रीवियसली क्या होता था हमारा एक यहाँ एनबीपीजीआर का ही एक ये है, देयर इज अ स्टोरी, नो, हमारे इंडिया में पहले सनफ्लावर इज एन नॉट अ नेटिव टू इंडियन origin. Okay, sunflower has originated near Russia and majorly grown in USA and other these temperate countries. So actually when oil seed mission was started, so we were having a very less diversity for the sunflower, and whatever genetic resources what we had, that had came from the from these travelers across the trade routes, our country used to grow as a just for ornamental purpose, or just for the because people used to call it as a surajmukhi, and flowers were very big, and the people used to like it. The flower used to turn as the sun arises and in the direction of sun. So it was an more like an ornamental plant, not a oil seed crop. So our there was a need, and then we wanted the germ plasma of the from the USSR. And then USSR was the, it was in the World War II, and there were restrictions imposed on the transfer of these plant genetic resources or the germ plasma from these countries. And what our Indian people have did is, Russia has invited one few of our delegates from some official purpose. Okay. And then there were many secretaries of the ministries, and government of India from the agriculture ministry, they have chosen the few secretaries. They were having, turbans, means the Sikh people had been selected for that. And apart from that, the all the, these guys were trained in such a way how to take the sunflower seeds from the plant and how to hide in their turban, and to their the inside the socks near the shoes, so where nobody can get caught in the while coming to the airports through airport security. So they were trained, and these guys went there, met there, and then discussed there, and they stolen the many of these sunflower germ plasma from there, and some had hid it in the, for example, in the turban, and some had hid it in the near the socks, and then they brought it to India, and those were germinated, and the selections were made, and the all the entries were evaluated for the disease which was prevalent in India, and a few of the accessions has got the disease resistance. So, and these germplasma lines were in turn deposited to National Bureau of Plant and Genetic Resources here, and they were multiplied and distributed to all the breeding centers across the state agriculture universities for the purpose of breeding, utilization of those genes for the purpose of, use for the to combat the disease. So this is how an germ plasma plays an important role. A single seed is enough to generate the whole, for example, plant. If in many cases a piece of leaf, a simple tissue, few cells, nowadays there is no need of no take to whole plant. You just take a few cells, conserve those cells into a, in a cryopreservators, and take them and regenerate it. So this is the importance of the purpose of germ plasma in agriculture. For agriculture benefits, like, we want good variety with a good consistent yield, and their management should be easier. For example, they should have to combat our fit into our cropping systems to manage the number of days for maturity and other things. And however, the genetic informity leaves the crop especially vulnerable for new pests and distresses. What happens in case of temperate crops? Mostly the crops grown in temperate regions have a longer duration. For example, the colder period is more there. They plant the seed, and there is a snowfall. Snowfall will be there for the period of 1 to 2 months. Seed will be inside. Whenever snow melts out, the crop will germinate. So this is the typical, temperate regions where the duration is more. It takes 5 to 6 months. The same crop in India, the duration will be of 3 to 4 months. So that makes quite difficult when we introduce the material from the other countries. For example, the genetic diversity of the germ plasma, it gives the planters, for example, plant breeders, a sustained ability to develop a new high yielding, high quality varieties that can, to constantly evolving pests and diseases along with the environmental stresses is vital, importance for the agriculture by use of this germ plasma. And sexually, compatible. Many times, what happens? We collect, we get the material from these countries there where the species may be different. It's a wild relatives, and it may be land race. So many times it's very difficult to use it is in a crossing program. So it may not be crossable. There may be crossing compatibility. When we cross, there won't be a viable F1. So many of those things, makes the use of these wild species, very difficult for the research purpose. And for example, germplasm biological technology. For example, we need to conserve for this, for the future generation. Something happens, some catastrophe happens. For example, some earthquake happens, or something happens, natural calamity, where the entire species will be wiped out from the, on the space of Earth. So that time, this conserved, the material will help for the start the next this one. For example, the increasing population, we need, higher productivity. For that productivity, for that, diverse material is important for use in the crossing program. When we use it in the crossing program, so we generate the, diverse material where that can be used for the propagation. And the coming to the history of this germ plasma, so the conservation is, started by human beings knowingly or unknowingly to preserve the seed or the economical parts for the next season. When human beings were evolving, so they used to conserve the seed when they started agriculture. So they need seasons, the seeds for season to season. So they preserve these potatoes, they preserve this, for example, seeds for the conservation. For example, history says, the conservation was taught and, decreed part of India and China, as back as, 700 BC. Many of the this Harappan, and where the civilizations were there, there were the pots where seeds were preserved in the pots. So that was the, conservation, about the germ plasma, how human being, as whatever the diversity or the whatever we are seeing in the, for example, the variability in case of rice, in case of wheat, in case of melons, in case of fruits, it is conserved by our own ancestors. you know they know the importance of that germ plasma, that has to be, transported to next further generations, that has to be, preserved. How they have methods to preserve them. For example, the concept of physical basis of heredity, for example, 19th century biologist August Weismann, according to his theory, germ plasma is an independent from all other cells of an body. For example, here the somatoplasma and gametic theory was first given by this Weismann, and this is how the genetic principles, had been laid out for the well transfer of these material, from generation to generation without knowing the laws of heredity. So this is how it was evolved and conserved. For example, the realizing the danger of genetic resources, genetic erosion. Even conference on human environment, held in Stockholm, 1972, recommended the conservation of, habitat which are rich in biodiversity. For example, this was the UN decision to conserve the places where the genetic diversity is more. Because of these steps taken by the UN, every country has formulated the laws to conserve or declare few regions as a hotspots. For example, Western Ghats has been, designated as a hotspot of the diversity. So there, if anybody, if a government wants to make some projects there, they it needs to, take these points into consideration. For example, plant germ plasma is the genetic resource material used by the plant breeders to develop new varieties. We need this one for development of new varieties, and we mainly.
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir, you said about the hotspots were declared, that is Western Ghats in India. So in
Uh,
the UN conference in Stockholm only, these hotspots have been decided.
No, the concept of hotspot was not decided at the UN conference. They wanted
Hmm.
that these regions of high genetic diversity must be
Okay.
designated as the diversity areas. This
Hmm.
hotspot area was concept was, evolved by our own Indian.
Okay. The idea was came up
Idea
that
was
time.
that same the high diverse, group has been designated a hotspot. This
Okay,
hotspot
sir.
terminology came from our own Indian concept. Okay, and
Okay.
for
Okay.
example, the other plant propagules like leaf, stem, pollen, all the by tissue cultured cells. it can lead to the entire, from the single cell one can go grow the entire plant. So this is how germ plasma conservation needs to be, it got in the process, it has got the vital importance. And apart from the, why we need to conserve the this germ plasma. So for example, loss of genetic diversity or the genetic erosion is the major concern for the, for human dependence for these plant species for the food and many uses. For example, our basic need is food, and we need a building material, we need oils, we need lubricants, we need rubber, we need other laxatives, we need medicines, we need perfume, we need dyes, and many other species for our vital. For example, you yourself think of, when woke up in the early morning, what kind of genetic diversity you use. Okay, for example, if you start, if you take a brush, starting, you use a paste, the paste contains many of the medicinal plants. If you are using ayurvedic based or the herbal based toothpastes, where it contains many of the medicinal plants. And when you after the brush you take immediately tea. Tea has got many germ plasma. We are very much thankful to Britishers who has brought tea and coffee from other countries to our India. So we need the diversity in the rubber plantations, or for example, rubber plantations or the tea plantations. And apart from, when we take a bath, we use soaps. Soaps and shampoos contain many medicinal plants. And when after that we take a cloths. Cloths contains fiber or the cotton. Cotton has got many species in that. Among the 3 species, we need to conserve the many other wild species for the its use, because cotton has got the pink bollworm problem. So there were all the species, all the whatever available species in the cottons were screened for the pink bollworm. So there were no genetic resistance genes available for the this pink bollworm in the cotton. So anybody from the molecular biology can say what humans did for the cotton to safeguard cotton against bollworm? Yes.
So they started using BT cotton, that
Yes.
is genetically modified cotton.
What is BT cotton?
So it is
So
basically,
Yes, please go ahead, one by one. If apart from MBB, anybody can answer this thing, because you all know, being in the agriculture stream, you have a little bit of this general knowledge regarding this BT cotton, genetically modified cotton, and what they are,
Sir,
what is the purpose.
sir,
Yes, please.
sir, actually, the gene is extracted from the Bacillus thuringiensis
Yes.
bacteria.
Yes.
That act as a killer against the
Yes.
bollworm,
Yes.
cotton bollworm, sir.
Yes. Yes.
That may act, that produce a protein that act on the gut and kill the.
Okay. Yes, that's good. These BT toxins, they activated in the guts of this pink bollworm, and once in the gut, due to the acidic, what kind of pH will be there in the guts? MBB, little bit more of 6. I want answer from MBB guys. What kind of pH will be there in the gut of the insect, where this toxin.
so it is alkaline basically in the
Yes,
insect.
basically it is alkaline. In alkaline pH, it becomes toxic. What?
So it's become toxic.
Yes.
So when the insect infest on the particular BT cotton plant, that enzyme degrade the enzyme which is present in the insect gut, that degrades basically, and it ruptures.
Ruptures. Okay. And then what happens if human being consumes Bt toxins? Are they toxins to us?
No, sir. Basically, we have acidic pH, so it
Yes.
won't hamper that much. I think it won't hamper. I don't know,
Yes,
but
yes, right,
human
right.
having acidic.
See, those toxins are nothing but their proteins, right? When the proteins, it gets the alkaline environment, they become a toxins. And when they get the acidic environment, they become a protein. That's all. They are protein, simple amino acids. They won't act as a toxin in case of mammals. Okay, this is a simple general knowledge. Many times in many exams, it is asked. Okay, and for your own information, the Monsanto has released the genetically modified GM crop, GM varieties or hybrids in case of cotton, Bolgard 1, Bolgard 2, Bolgard 3, and you may search in the Google how many series are available. Okay, that is an assignment for you people. Okay, just coming to next. So many times this species extinction is the major threat for the endangered deforestation by humans. To prevent this species extinction, so we need this genetic germ plasma conservation. And for example, another important function with respect to ecosystem, this diversity of these different plants needs to be maintained for the natural ecosystem to function stably between with the stable interaction between the species. Because to work an ecosystem, the food chain or the different chains inside the ecosystem needs to be functioned properly for an good ecosystem. And apart from that, aesthetic value of a natural ecosystem and diverse plant species needs to be maintained. Okay, and this is the how we are conserving the germ plasma. There are two methods. One is the in vitro and then in vivo. In vivo, we are Lukeshwari. So in vitro and in vivo. So in vitro and in vivo, in this, for example, there is a in vivo and there is a in vitro. So in the in vivo, where the plant is considered as a live plants, okay. And for example, in case of in vivo, we are again dividing into in situ, and then another is ex situ. You just remember in situ means inside the natural habitat. For example, if the mangroves are growing in the nearby the sea, that is the natural habitat of mangroves. So mangroves need to be conserved at the natural habitat for their environment. Okay, their production environment is their natural habitat. And coming to the in case of ex situ, where we are growing the mangroves in the apart from the those nearby sea. For example, we are taking that mangrove and we are maintaining them in other habitat where it is not in their natural habitat. For example, there are the gardens. There are gardens, or there are artificial. For example, there are botanical gardens. What you know as a botanical gardens. In the botanical gardens, the diversity is maintained for the different type of. For example, the species of those plants will be maintained. And coming to the in case of animals, so we are taking the help of zoo. We are maintaining them in a cages is an ex situ conservation. right? And in a case of simple, if I am explaining it in a simple manner, in situ study, for example, you are sitting in your habitat, natural habitat, your home, and you are studying, is a in situ study. Ex situ studies, you are not there in your home and you are there in my classroom at the IRI genetics division, is artificial environment, that is called as ex situ, away from your natural habitat. Are you able to follow this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
This
Yes,
is
sir.
Yes,
how a
sir.
natural and artificial environment can be called as in situ and ex situ. Okay, and okay, this is the conservation. And coming to the and another is in vitro. In vitro, in this, for example, we are using embryo, pollen, somatic cells, oocytes. In case of animals, salmon, we are conserving them into cryoconservation. What do you understand by cryoconservation?
So conserving them in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius temperature.
196 minus 196
Minus
minus
196.
needs to be remembered here.
Sir, I said minus 196.
Yes, minus 196. If it is a plus, it will be gone. Okay. Yes,
Yes, sir.
is called as in vitro. Okay. And in vivo, live, in vitro, we are using the different materials for the conservation. One is cryoconservation. Okay. Next. And in this, coming to next, I think, yes. Okay. Annotate, undo. Okay. Then coming for this, for example, your in situ conservation, that is on-site conservation. The same thing has been exaggerated here in this slide, that is in situ conservation. And coming to the next one, so here in this, how we are going to manage. This is a managerial part. For example, in situ and ex situ conservation. For example, here in the we take the help of gene banks. National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources represents the gene bank. Okay, in case of this conservation in situ. Okay, and in case of management, so there are different for example management procedures, the monitoring, restoration, introduction, research and extension. There are local facilities, there are farms, and then there is a selection, there is a multiplication of those the seeds of those things. And then this is for the purpose of community or the plant breeders for using it for the purpose of for the breeding purpose or utilization in the research purpose. That is the major purpose of this conservation. Okay, here we are using the seeds. There is a seed bank, there is an extension related to that one, there is a distribution, and there are markets based on the demand, so they will be distributed. Okay, so that is an important thing here. See here, for example, look into here. For example, ex situ conservation, not in their original habitats. They are at the places where artificially they are grown, is the ex situ. And see here, these are the germ plasma banks, where the seeds are kept and, under, 5 to 6 degrees. There are different, gene bank has got a different setup. In that setup, you have a different kind of degrees or different kind of working germ plasma, different kind of classification is there for that. And for example, if you look into this one, in case of here, in case here, for example, off-site conservation. So for example, outside its natural habitat, if some rice goes at the particular area, if we are growing in the other area out of that habitat is, called as your ex situ. Okay, right. And coming to other things where, for example, here in case of ex situ conservation can be, carried out by several methods. For example, here, there is a seed bank, there is a in vitro storage, and there is a DNA storage, there is a pollen storage, there is a field gene banks, and there is a botanical gardens. As I was telling, there are several different methods. Not only is the gene bank, apart from that, even DNA can be stored. Pollen grains can be stored in the gene banks. Okay, and for example, in case of in vitro, their shoots, meristems, embryos, and that can be, conserved or stored. But for example, large quantities of the material can be, preserved at a single space or a small space if you are using seed and another thing. And another important, vital aspect, if we are growing the plants in their natural habitat, there is a, problem of pests and diseases, because naturally they are adapted to that, and there is a different kind of, pathogens. They are staying there. They are going to affect the natural habitat. Many natural habitat, many times, species will, be, dead by the different viral strains, different fungal strains. To avoid that, if we are saving them in the genes bank and other thing where, they can be maintained without any this, pathogens and other thing. And, natural habitats like fire, flooding and other thing, can be, protected if their seed is there in the germ plasma. For example, here, there are three main purposes in approaches in the in vitro, as it was rightly, said by, one of you, that cryopreservation in the cold storage under -26, -196, and there is a low pressure and low oxygen storage and other things. This is a liquid nitrogen. This is how a cryopreservation will be done, and there are cryo banks, germ plasma banks. And in cryopreservation, where the plant cells and tissues cultures will be, in that temperature will be at zero metabolic rate, means they are at the non-dividing state, means their activity is siege. Okay, that is the the principle behind the cryopreservation. Okay, they will be in the frozen state. And cryopreservation broadly means storage of germ plasma at low temperature. Here, the solid, they use three methods here in the cryopreservation. One is the solid carbon dioxide. It's minus 79 degrees centigrade, and we use same kind of method under the -80. That is, we use a deep freezer, and third one we use liquid nitrogen, that is -196 centigrade. So these are the three different methods of cryopreservation. Okay, and then due to this minus temperatures, they are completely in inactive state, and they can be conserved for a longer period of time. For example, plant species like rice, wheat, peanut, sugar cane, they can be conserved for the longer duration. And whenever temperature is, may bit of low, the metabolic rate will be there, and because of there is a biological deteriorations in the samples of the tissues. So this needs to be taken care while we are using this one. And coming to the tissue, for example, tissue culture. These are the tissue culture slide. How it will be maintained. I am not going to go deeper in this, so I will just go with the in the next class. In the next, please, I will request you to join in the next this one. Okay. For example, you can join in the next class. Only few slides are left, so we will start in the next the link whatever I have sent you.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.